welcome to this edition of Homegrown, where Lyn is mostly going to be the one who shares information. And we're joined today by Rick Tracewell, who is also a gardener. So let's jump right into it. So Lyn, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Hanging in there. It's
Crazy.
The roller coaster's still going.
Yeah, you're a busy woman. I've been really busy this week. I started all these plants and then realized I don't have room to put all these in the ground. So I've been selling my plants, and it's been really interesting because I pull the order and then pass it through my garden gate, and I get to visit with my friends, and I've made some new ones. So
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's been a busy week. That, and I power washed off my landing and my garden room and all my sidewalks, and yeah, it's Friday and I'm tired.
We can only clean so much.
Don't, I'm not a cleaner. I'm not a housekeeper. I'm a gardener. Yeah. And I was going to plant all my babies because I haven't put them in the ground yet. I was going to plant tomorrow, but we've got thunderstorms coming. And, even though we have a half an inch of rain forecast, that rain could all come all at the same time, and that's going to beat our babies to death. So,
yeah,
need to get ready for that.
Yeah. And then, Rick, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Glad to be here. I do have to say, when Lyn says she's tired and doesn't have energy, that's a whole different thing from any other normal person. You know that, right?
No, Ramona's right there with me. She's driven.
Okay.
When you slow down, you just like go.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
somebody pulled the batteries out. Poof.
That's a good analogy. I'm a business owner, and I do marketing and advertising and all that goes along with that. And so Lyn and I worked together recently the last couple of years on I run the Pepper Festival.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's a fun side thing. We raise money for local children's charities. So I've been up in this area. I moved to Auburn in 2001, and I've been all up and down, the Sierra, foothills, Nevada City and Grass Valley. And so I just moved to Sacramento, funny enough, in February.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, are you originally from this area up here?
No, San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah.
I'm a San Jose. Well, I'm a Fremont girl.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. I managed the Century 22 for many years. Yeah.
Wow. That area has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
So
Rick is also
anyway,
a musician. Rick is also a musician.
Lyn,
played in a number of bands. Yes.
What is today's topic? What are we going to talk about?
Insects and insecticides.
Okay. So is that different than pests?
Yeah. Well, no.
I don't think we can talk about that enough.
Pests. Well, yeah, and that's something I want to touch on. Insects kind of covers the whole gamut. Pests are those little things that we just hate and want to just eat. Yeah. Right? So I want to talk about insects because I've been getting a lot of questions about how to kill this and how to kill that and what is this and what is that and what's making this hole in my leaf and all that sort of stuff. And I really think it's a topic that needs to be discussed, and we're only going to hit the tip of the iceberg today because it's a very in-depth topic.
Yeah.
But Rick had some really good ideas, some really interesting questions that I want to make sure we touch on also.
Absolutely. I just have to say, I think your set's getting a little decoration there. Every episode, something gets added.
You mean like that?
Yeah. It's fun. It's like, what are we gonna get this week?
Who knows? Stay tuned. A big bug back there, maybe, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, let's let Rick ask what he is dying to know.
Yes, it's not in the insect realm, although I've had, and I mean, pests. Boy, when I was in Nevada City, I had 2 acres, and like a quarter of an acre was all garden stuff, and it was. I swear to you, I probably spent easily 5 times the amount of money defending my garden than I would have spent just going to the farmer's market in Nevada City, you know.
Oh,
So yeah, I mean, I
fun.
had pests from insects were actually the least of them. It was all of the, you know, they were coming up from the ground, you know, moles and rabbits and, you know, stuff like that. And then of course the deer and then birds. I mean, they were coming from all angles. It was, yeah, that was not fun, but I haven't had too much of that so far. I've only been here for a couple months. I just started my garden about a month ago. I've had a couple of little holes in leaves that might be something, but I haven't really seen, you know, I'm using containers here. But the question I was going to pose was, and it's been an issue, you know, that I've never really conquered ever, was watering. How much too much? How much is too little? When do you know? I mean, I've overwatered things where, you know, it ends up being just root rot and it dies, and then I've underwatered, you know. So what are your recommendations on that?
Watering is always problematic, and it's very commiserate with the temperature and the sun. The last 3 days, you know, you really want to pour the water on, but then this cloud cover is not going to be, the plants aren't going to be uptaking as much water, and so you need to back off on the water. So many people have an irrigation system and they set it for one thing, and it's not really adequate. You need to maneuver that thing around to go with the timer, to go with what the weather is doing. And this crazy spring weather, you know, it's just really hard to say. We've got like I was saying earlier, we've got a thunderstorm coming in and a half an inch of rain forecast, and that could dump all at once. So then you wouldn't need to water. But so once we get into June and get into the no rain period, it's really commiserate with how much sun and how much heat there is. It also has to do with what you're gardening in. If you're gardening in the soil, straight into the soil, or if you're gardening in pots, or if you're gardening in raised beds are going to dry out quicker, and pots are not going to dry out as much. And something that I've kind of invented myself, it's kind of like a dipstick. I take a piece of bamboo, you know, about this size, the smaller piece of bamboo, and I push it down into the pot. Okay. And when it reaches the dry part, but in a pot, you'll go all the way down. Now, if you use the finger test, a lot of people say, you know, oh, just put your finger in and test it. Well, you're only testing the top couple of inches. And with our intense sun, those top couple of inches are going to be dry probably, about 15 minutes after you water. So that's why I use this dipstick method. I'm using this as an example. You push that down, it's going to tell you where the moisture stops. You can feel it. In the soil, when you push it down, it will stop where it's dry. And you want to aim for about, a foot down to water. So I kind of do a visualization. I meditate, so it's kind of easy for me to visualize that water going down. But just to be sure, I'll take a stick, a bamboo pole or a stick, and push it down in the water, into the soil, to just find out where the water is. Now, 9 times out of 10 in a pot, you're going to push that all the way down and pull that stick, the measuring tool that you're using, and the bottom of that is going to be wet. You're going to have mud down there. So then you just want to make sure you water about 6 inches down. So okay. It's really just to have to go find out what's going on out there. Do you have an irrigation system?
I do not. I'm doing it all by hand, which is my preferred method anyway, because I like being out in the garden, you know, first thing in the morning.
You know, so I used to work for a hardware store, and they were kind of known for their irrigation, and I was kind of laughed at because I water by hand, and I have a huge garden. But you know,
that's my zen in the morning.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's it's a form of meditation for me, and you really get to stay up on what's happening in your garden.
Yes.
If you set an irrigation system and you don't go out and check your garden, you know, okay, haven't seen the garden in 3 days, I'll go out. It could all be gone.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you don't live in Nevada County anymore, but I used to say that gardening in Nevada County is not for the faint of heart.
Well, I can definitely attest to that. Like with that story I just told you, that was the worst gardening experience I've ever had. I was growing things because I had so much room. I was growing things I'd never grown before, and one of them was watermelon. And there were I had probably 2 or 3 inch round, maybe a little bit smaller. I'm probably exaggerating my memory, but they were really nice sized watermelons, and there was at least a dozen of them. And one morning I came out to water, they're all gone.
All gone. The bunnies
Something
got
had come in there with a big appetite, and it was
Yep.
a fenced in. It was a gated thing, so it wasn't deer. So I don't know what it was, but it something.
Bunnies or rats. I have a rat problem because I'm completely surrounded by a hedge.
Yeah.
And unless the neighborhood cat has gotten really busy, we have a rat problem here. They'll munch on things. And yeah, so there's all kinds of things. And I'll have to have an episode on those 4-legged pests to deal with those. Yeah. But watering is always an issue. And it's just some things need more water, like watermelon. Okra doesn't need as much water. So it would be a good idea if you research the plant that you've got. What does it need? How much water does it need? And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I want to bring up a website that I absolutely depend on, and I want other gardeners to be in touch with it also. And that's IPM UC Davis, and it talks about all of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Okay, Lyn, so let's talk about bugs.
Bugs. Yeah, I get so many, oh my goodness, so many questions, so many emails, so many messages, what's in pictures of little plants with little holes in them or yellowing on the leaf. I lead a strange life. But it made me think that maybe we needed to talk about that. We're trying to keep these shows timely. And bugs are not something that is a real, how can I say this? It's not one of my areas of expertise. I am learning more about them just by gardening. But there are some bugs that are really, seasonal. So people are asking me, what's chewing on my whatever, okay? I learned the hard way. I started some seeds, I planted them. Oh, you're so cute. I came out the next morning, they were all gone. And I discovered it was earwigs. They'll say, well, I don't see them. And I'm like, well, they come out at 2:00 in the morning. I mean, they're in the middle of the night is when you see earwigs. And unless you're wandering around in your garden in the middle of the night, you're not going to see them. But you can identify by how they nibble, how the little destruction looks, and that's how you can identify what it is. And one of the things that I recommend for people to use on pincher bugs, earwigs, is Sluggo Plus. Sluggo Plus came out about 5 years ago. It's organic. It's a granular. So unlike, a lot of people use diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is good, but you have to spread a ton of it, and any moisture gets on it and it's ineffective. The Sluggo Plus has little granulars and it lasts much, much, much longer. I put it out every time I plant anything new. I sprinkle a little bit of it around and I don't have a problem. So that's a really good thing to remember, the Sluggo Plus. I've used some of those other slug and snail bait things. They do not kill earwigs. This product kills earwigs, roly-poly, slugs, snails, and cutworms. So if cutworms have been a problem, that's another good thing to use. And like I said, it's non-toxic. Your dog could eat some of the granules and it wouldn't hurt it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues is trying to determine what are the good bugs and what are the bad bugs. People think, oh, they're all bad, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, obviously we all know that ladybugs are good and praying mantises are good, but there's a lot of other ones.
Mantises are non-discriminatory and they eat everything, good or bad. So they're kind of the rogue of the insect world when you see them. Unlike ladybugs who only eat aphids and, on down the line. The problem with everyone thinking everything is bad that flies around in your garden is really scary, because without those things flying around in your garden, you're not going to have any pollinators, and you need to encourage pollinators, and you don't want to use a broad range insecticide because you're going to kill everything, good and bad, beneficials and non-beneficials. I had a guy ask me the other day, well, actually he told me, And after I picked myself up off the floor, I could respond to him because
Uh-oh.
he said, oh, once I get my garden planted, I just spray everything with Sevin. Sevin, Sevin. Sevin kills everything, every insect in your garden. And to go out and just spray without wanting to target some particular insect is foolish in my book, because we're trying to build our pollinator population, and to do something like that is just ridiculous to me. And it's very, very toxic, very toxic. It's just not a real good product I recommend. But then I'm very organic, and a lot of people aren't. And you know, you can choose whatever poison you want to use, so to say. But I want to lead everyone to this website. And this website is from UC Davis, IPM UC Davis. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management. And what that program teaches us is to use the least toxic substance first, and then gradually up to the big guns, as I call them. And chances are you're not going to have to use those big guns. Those big guns are very toxic. And this website also talks about insecticides and the toxicity of them, how dangerous they are to the honeybees or not, how dangerous they are to aquatics or not. So you go on to IPM UC Davis. It's a big website. It is so filled with information. I don't think I could possibly ever read it, and I read it all the time. And you go onto their homepage, and it says Home Garden, and you click on there, and it lists, oh my gosh, all the pests. It lists all the fruit trees, rose bushes, cabbage, basil, you name it. It's all on there. And if you click on that, it will tell you the most common pests. It will tell you what causes them to come around. It will tell you how to get rid of them the most effective way. Yeah, it's an amazing website. I was on a conversation. I have such an amazing life. It's so exciting. I was on a three-way conversation yesterday with a friend and her friend, and we were talking about what was going on with her lettuce. It had these little tunnels in the leaves, and those are leaf miners. And, you know, what can I use on leaf miners? Well, there's nothing that's effective on them, because nothing penetrates the two membranes of the leaf, and the little wormy thing is in there. It's a little larvae of a particular fly. And if you go on there and click on leaf miner, it'll pop up and show you the fly. There's just nothing you can use to get rid of them. So, you know, you learn that, and then you'll do like myself and one of my girlfriends, she was the one who led us in this discussion. I have not grown leafy vegetables for about 4 years because I had such a huge infestation.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can do preventative? Because the flies, and then they got to
Yeah, like white flies are attracted to yellow. So if you put something yellow out, it's sticky, they'll fly into that. But these little devils nothing touches them, and they're not attracted to any particular color. And I went on again because I wanted to use this as an example to make sure that I was giving you the right information. And they are still saying that no insecticide is effective toward leaf miners. So,
and they only affect lettuce.
Leafy vegetables.
Oh, just all leafy vegetables. Great.
My chard, my spinach, my kale. All leafy vegetables. Even the greens on beets, they can go after.
Wow.
So, yeah, but IPM UC Davis is a really, really, I would not be the master gardener I am if I didn't have that site.
Yeah, I remember that when I was going through master gardener school, there was a application that you could take a picture of an insect, and then it would find it. I don't know if I don't know if it was just a sample or a demo, or
it must have been a sample because I'm not aware of it. But
that would be helpful.
Yeah. Well, I again, I did my homework for this episode and found a number of really good plant insect ID apps for my phone. And that's what I would suggest every gardener to get. I think the one I called was, oh my goodness, I can't even remember what it was called right now. But it was the one that had the highest rating.
Okay.
And I went around this morning. I actually posted it on my my feed this morning. So I'll get it to you so you can share it. And it's really accurate. I went around this morning and you see bugs all the time, and then when you want to go find one, I'm like, where's the bugs? Where's the bugs?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, I know you're out here. But it was accurate in about 5 pictures that I took.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So being a gardener, I really think you need to arm yourself. You can't just go stick something in the ground and hope that it has success, because it requires a bit of knowledge on your part. I think it's really important to educate yourself, and I think it will relieve a lot of frustrations in gardening. A lot of people, don't think about that they need to educate themselves. But, that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
I also wanted to talk about, touch on insecticides a little bit more. There are broad range insecticides, and oh great, my neighbor's going to rev up his motorcycle. There are broad range insecticides, which means they kill everything. You really don't want to use those, and if you have to use them, try to find an organic source. Neem is a really good broad range. It kills everything. And if you choose to use something that is broad range, make sure you do it real early in the morning, or preferably late in the evening after all the flying things have gone. If you do it late in the evening and there's no flying things around, then you're not killing the pollinators. It has a chance to soak into the plant overnight. And in the morning, by the time the sun hits and the pollinators are on the plant, it will do less damage to the pollinators. I want to reiterate what you said about all the flying things and people wanting to get rid of all the flying things. 90% of the things in your garden will not sting you. Some ants will, and of course we all know about wasps. But other than that, most things don't care at all about you. I was insect IDing a little bee today, a little honeybee, and I got right on him. I mean, and he or she could not be bothered with my camera. Yeah. So there are insecticides that target specific insects. BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. There are 2 subspecies. One targets mosquito larvae, and you can get the dunks to put in your standing water. And the other targets caterpillars. Only caterpillars. Yeah. So you can use that and not be afraid that you're going to kill your pollinators, except for the fact that the caterpillar is the larvae of some pollinator, more than likely. Yeah. So BT is one of them. I mentioned Sluggo Plus. It has iron phosphate in it, which is a naturally occurring substance in the soil. So, and that's organic. So that just targets that. But read the label. And when you use these things, use them exactly like the label says. Too much is not good. Use exactly what they say. Or, you could do damage to your plant and to other insects.
Right. It's just like watering. More is not better.
Not always. I don't know, though, these last couple of days did I see on Weather Underground that it was 102 here yesterday?
Oh, I don't know. It was like 90 when I went home, so it got pretty warm.
Soil temperature did hit 60 degrees yesterday, and that's exactly where our warm season veggies want to be, in that 60-degree temperature. Yeah.
Our garden seems to be pretty happy so far. So
you guys are in that great warm spot down there. That's just, perfect spot. Up here on the hill, it can get a little dicey in the springtime. So I'm just more cautious. I just wait. Usually the first week of June is when I start getting everything fully in. Just don't want to take any chances.
Right. So you got anything new going on other than gardening?
In my life, is there anything else in my life?
Right now, I feel like we're Groundhog Day. It's just the same every day.
I know you said, thank God it's Friday, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is Friday.
But trust me, only
yeah.
because I've been hoping for Friday. Every other day I had no clue on what day it was.
Yeah. So you've been directing yourself to Friday. Yeah.
And I don't know why. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't matter. They're all the same.
But you're working all the time. I mean, you're working Monday through Friday. So someone like me who, has to look at your computer to tell what day it is.
Okay. Well, pests are a topic that we're never going to get tired of. It's something we can talk about every day because there's so many different pests and not one way works for every single one.
Right. So I guess to kind of wrap up the insect and insecticide bit is to find one of those photo apps, Insect ID app, and use it. Or, when I worked at the nursery, people would bring things in a jar and have me identify them. There's a number of really, really good websites with Insect ID. That you can't take a picture of, but you can look and see, what the seed is. But by and large, if you go to IPMUC Davis, look at your plant, it's going to tell you what is the most common pest on that plant.
Right.
So that's what I will leave you guys with today.
Okay, and I'll make sure that I include that website in the production so people can get to it easily, and then we'll include it in the post.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right.
You have a good weekend.
Happy gardening.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.